Welcome to Homestead Reptile. Today I'm going to be putting together a Carolina custom cage. I have been moving a lot of stuff around at my reptile room, cleaning, organizing, just rearranging things to move some more stuff in here to make it a little bit more efficient for me. So these guys are the Carolina custom cages. This is, let me remember, this is the 36 by 18 by 18, I believe. So a decent size enclosure. These are going to be housing garter snakes. So this Great Dane is also in the way. This is Dane Lady. We found her on the side of the road, and we're kind of fostering her until we can figure out where her owners are. So, as I'm putting this together, the Great Dane kept getting in the way, and I had to kick her out of the room. I do feel bad for that, but I need space to work, and I don't need a giant Great Dane sitting on my lap as I try to screw things together. But putting the first cage together was a little difficult because the directions weren't as clear as I would personally like them. Because not all the panels are labeled and not everything is exactly labeled. But I figured it out. I made some mistakes easily corrected, and it took me probably maybe an hour-ish to put both together, and that was mostly for the time for the first one. So if you can have a second person help you, just moving the glass in gently, because I find that to be the most difficult part, like getting the glass right into the track, being super careful and super slow so you don't damage the glass. I find having a second person on hand is actually a pretty great thing. And as I put these cages together, they do get heavy, and I did need to ask help for another person to help me put them onto the stand. It's just, they're not a super heavy cage, but they're heavy enough and long enough that you need a second person if you're a smaller person to put these up there, because they're still a decent sized cage. So the base of the cage is waterproof, and you can see as I figured it out, those sides go in really easily. One thing I will say is when you're putting this together, the doors will keep opening and stay open as you're trying to like jiggle the top onto there, and that just made me nervous that I might push it out of the track, or I could damage it because it's swinging. It could hit into something, you see, like that. That T-bar isn't meant to go there. I was just kind of using it to keep it closed while I worked. So what I kind of figured out is like I will just grab some tape, put the tape on the doors, put it on the side, put it on the front, just to kind of keep it from swinging open and closed. And that did help quite a bit. So my first view of this cage is it's just more aesthetically pleasing than the Exoterra. I hate those huge black bars on the Exoterra. It's just bulky. It's not very classy. It takes away from the naturalistic environment you're creating. I want something with minimum plastic. And you can see the reptile room is looking great. I did a big clean in here. The cage is looking great. The geckos are nice and healthy. I'm going to be feeding everyone in a few days. Saltwater reef, dealing with a little bit of an algae problem, but slowly working that away. Tiny gecko cage there. A couple of different aquatic bowls right over here. And I have the bigger aquarium over there. That's the cold water aquarium. And then these are the baby garter snakes, the sub-adult males, right over there. That's the little male group. And some plants. I think the room is looking really good. And then this is the rack system for those two new cages. I did have another cage come. It was an Exoterra shattered into bits, so I'm getting a replacement. And this is this really awesome lighting system by Hager. So it has a bunch of different settings. I'm still playing around with the settings. So it has sunset, thunderstorm, sunrise. And the thunderstorm is pretty cool. I thought that was a pretty neat setting. So they have multiple different settings. Now, I thought the thunderstorm would be kind of cool if you can link it into a water feature. When it's going to rain, to have the water come down and just wet the cages. So these cages up here will not be going bioactive for some time. These are going to be kind of like QT enclosures. for me to collect feces, to monitor snakes, and eventually they will be made bioactive. I prefer bioactive. They're just less work for me, and I think the snakes enjoy them more. But to monitor health, to check to make sure everyone's eating, to make sure everything's good, I don't go bioactive right away on certain species just because it is so much more difficult to collect poops than in a sterilized environment than in a bioactive. So what I'm pointing to right there at the edges, snakes can't zoom out from that spot. So it's blocked. The Exoterra has this huge gaping opening when you open those doors. I moved these guys to the bottom right here, but you can see right here this huge opening. I've had snakes poke their heads out. I've had snakes like crawl out and plop onto the ground um, because it's just it's a little door for them to get out. It's their own custom door, and it's dangerous because if you're cleaning, I'm doing water in there. I'm not 100% paying attention, and you could accidentally close it on a tail. You could close it on a head. You could close it on any body part, so you have to be careful with that.